Good evening. How are you? It's Yogi here. So, here I am. You're looking at the piece I'm going to be working on today. And it's about 6:50 in the London time, which is a little bit unusual. I normally, for the past few weeks, I've been stitching pretty late at night. So this is very civilized for me. And I'm looking out my patio window. I can actually see my patio. Normally, I just see a patch of darkness. So today I'm working on a new piece for the channel, but not new for me. I had this piece for about, maybe over 2 years. So this is from Heaven and Earth, and the piece is called The Little Cake Shop, and this is a Max Colors as well. Let me show you the markup. It's absolutely gorgeous, and this is really my cup of tea. Lots of colors, a lot going on, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And so I probably started this piece about just over 2 years ago, and I actually made pretty good progress probably up to a year ago. And then, things got busy, and also I kind of got distracted by other pieces. So I probably haven't worked on it for a little while. So this is probably the first time this year I kind of come back to it. But I've done a little bit around this area today. So let me show you where I am right now. If I show you my app here, so I'm using Cross Stitch Saga. So this is like a new tool I've got into. I'm learning to use. So normally I use, up to this point, I've been using Pattern Keeper, and I've just imported the pattern over here to Cross Stitch Saga. So this is my progress so far. Not too shabby. A lot of the ceilings and the walls, really beautiful, I worked on. So my progress, if I'm not mistaken, let me have a look. I think it's about 12%. Let me just double check. Yes, if you look at the upper left there, it says 12.36, which is probably the most advanced in terms of percentage I've worked on amongst all the pieces, all the projects. Obviously, it's proportional to the size of the project as well. Let me just give you some idea. So this is not max size, but it's max color. So I think the size is probably the same as the regular ones, the regular version rather. So today, the area I'm going to be working on will be, let me highlight the area. So it will be the bottom right corner there. So just like the other piece I've been working on, the winter reading nook, I'm trying to tidy up all the loose stitches I was working on up to this point. So so maybe from this point on, if everything goes well, I'll start to work on sort of block by block, see how it goes. So I switch my stitching method quite a lot. So, as long as I enjoy it, I just keep going. So there you go. Today, I'm going to work on this box area. And within this box, it doesn't look much, but I've still got about 759 stitches remain in this area. And hopefully, fingers crossed, because this way of working is pretty fast in my book. So I'm normally very slow, as it says on the label, the slow stitching yogi. So I'm not particularly looking for speed per se, but I like efficiency, and it's nice to be able to make progress. So these are the remaining stitches I'll be working on today. And with some luck, I might move forward. Depends on how long this session will be. It really depends. Let me just remove these part threads. They're no longer applicable. So this is my new toy as far as tracking my stitches goes. So I may stop from time to time to give you sort of some insight on my experience of this app so far. So if you're not aware of this app, it's called Cross Stitching Saga, and it's by a developer from, I think, not a developer, I don't know how many people involved, but it's from a team in Russia, and it's a pretty unique app here. So I love Pattern Keeper, and some of my projects I'll continue to use Pattern Keeper, but I'm exploring this option, and so far I've been having a lot of fun. So let me zoom in a little bit, and just to give you a better view of my stitches here. It's so beautiful. It's such a joy to work on these colors. This is the type of color palette that once you start, you just don't want to stop, because it's just so pretty every step of the way. So, and I'm running slightly low on the spare needles here. So most of the needles have been parked on my needle board. So I'll see how it goes. If not, I have to be creative. I might need to remove some needles from the board, and so I can have a few more spare ones. So here we go. I know this is a little bit too soon for the reindeer, but whatever works. So here we go. So within this area, what I'm going to do is to stitch from the colors got minimum number of stitches and slowly moving up. So this is what I've been doing from top here, if you look at the panel here. So now I'm moving on to the current color there. Let me highlight. So there's a whole bunch there. So it's 317. So let me see if I've got one threaded already. 317, no. So I'm going to have to get to my thread organizers here. Three, 1, 7, so it's the front there. 317. That's a nice little gray color there. So yesterday's been really busy. So today is kind of Thursday is kind of my rest day from work, as all the other things, and so it's been such a relaxing day. I've been just catching up stuff, did some cleaning, a little bit of cooking, and finally have some time here to do a little bit of stitching. And also I kind of I decided to work on this piece since yesterday, so I've been really excited all night. Just really looking forward to coming back to this piece. I remember when I got this piece, I was so obsessed with it. So what happened was, initially, I actually got a mini version of this piece, which was slightly different. Let me think. Maybe not mini. They've got another version that's basically a cropped version of a piece, of a larger piece. I can't remember what it's called. So I got one of those. So that version only covers kind of the front, the center part. If you look at a mock-up, just the center part where there are a lot of cakes and stuff. And I started from there. And as I was stitching it, I realized how much I love this piece. So I thought, well, you know, either I could just keep going with that piece, you know, the cropped version, or I could actually get the full version. And that's what I did. I went back. Unfortunately, I had to abandon the crop version, the smaller version, and got this pattern and started all over again. And I have no regret. This is such a beautiful piece. It's like a playground of colors. It's just so lovely. I love pastel. I love pink. You know, these are all the things I love. And I've got a little cupcake there as well. Needle miter. It's quite appropriate. And today, because I'm stitching, I'm being such a good girl. I'm stitching a very civilized hour. I'm actually drinking coffee as well. It's past 6. Normally, I try not to drink coffee past 6, but hey, you know, it's my rest day, so go a little bit crazy here. So since I started this channel about 3 months ago, I have been working primarily 14 counts, and also some smaller counts up to 25 counts, but half stitches. So from the beginning of the year, for some reason, I just decided I wanted to go on a little detour and do something a little bit different. And so I did. And it was a great choice, I think, great decision, because I felt so fresh coming back to 25 counts with 1/1, because, you know, after stitching larger stitches and different methods, particularly having to, you know, working on 2 strands instead of 1, it's a very different kind of stitching experience. And it's not something that you appreciate if you're kind of, you know, like me, head to toe, completely knee high, waist high, in sort of this type of project, 25 counts. But once you've worked on something a little bit different for a little while, it just feels so nice to come back to 25 counts. So I'm very, very happy. Very, very happy. These colors are so pretty. Let me just move it out a little bit more here. And I'm going to mark as I go, actually, because there are quite a lot of stitches involved. So I've got options here. Let me see. With my app, I'm going to mark these ones so I don't get lost. Here we go. Let me just see here. 1, 2. And because it's max colors, the color changes are so subtle. Sometimes when you switch colors, but the colors are so similar, you kind of have to reconfirm whether you're stitching the right location. Let me see over here. Let me know what you're working on. I'm always curious on people's choices, you know, the design and fabric count, for instance, and whether you're monogamous stitcher or you're like me, all over the place. I just stitch whichever piece is kind of talking to me that day, and I don't have any grand plan to what I'm doing, to be honest. You know, sometimes I watch floss tubers. They do like a yearly plan. You know, they go, well, this year I'm going to work on these pieces, and this is the progress I'm going to make. You know, they actually have almost like a deadline. They go, well, by next April I'm going to finish 50%. Well, I suppose I could do that. It's just most likely the plan would derail. So there's not much point planning. I just enjoy stitching whatever it's talking to me that particular day or moment. Even it's not unusual for me to cycle through multiple pieces. Not unusual at all. So with the max color, I'm trying to remember how many colors. I think this is probably one of the pieces that it involves most colors. I think we're talking about 260 something colors. And this is the piece that actually made me decide to get the full set of DMC, because trying to kit this design up was just impossible. You know, getting the floss one bit at a time. So I had to bite the bullet and go, well, let me get a whole set. So I'm not gonna, you know, be running around trying to get this color and that color. Oops, I'm gonna just stitch over that. And that was a great decision, because even though with max colors, with so many colors, you actually only use tiny bit of each color. So you have a lot of spare, and I use the set to kit up quite a few other pieces. So it kind of gave me a really good foundation. So I haven't had to let me just see if I'm getting this correct there. Yep. So I haven't had to buy floss that frequently, to be honest. I topped up a few colors, the more popular ones that's used by a lot of kids, but otherwise, let me have a look. And this way of stitching is because I'm going up with the number of stitches with each color. The more stitches are involved around this area that I'm stitching, the more you have to have almost like a strategy on where you take your thread next, you know, or do you end thread and move on to another location within the area, so you don't end up with a lot of floating thread at the back, which I don't like. So it's kind of one of my challenges when it comes to stitching. It doesn't matter what method I choose. It's always about how do I minimize the amount of floating thread. I don't mind it if it's if the thread is sort of carried over on stitch area, because I know later on it will be covered by other stitches. But you know, I'm slightly OCD about floating thread over stitch area, because it's just when you flip over, you just see a lot of a little thread there not being stitched down. But other than that, I'm pretty easygoing. With 25 count 1/1, I don't mind that much about boxed in stitches, you know, areas you have to stitch that's surrounded by other stitches. It happens all the time with methods like this, but it's quite easy to stitch when you do 1/1, such a small stitch. Whereas if you do 2/1 on 14 count, for instance, it really depends on the pieces. Sometimes the fabric, you know, you can get very tight if you try to stitch some loose stitches that's surrounded by other stitches. So the stitching experience is quite important for me as well, because that's kind of, it defines everything, doesn't it? It's kind of the be-all and end-all for me. Let me see. So 1 over there. Okay, never mind. I miss. Well, I stitch the stitch below in a slightly incorrect location, but it doesn't matter. I'll just come back and stitch over it. There's no need to frog it, really. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3 here. So normally if I make a mistake, unless it's just so much contrast in color that it's going to be obvious, otherwise I tend to just stitch over it, and you can't tell, not really. Let me see. And because I've got such a defined area, literally with a border around it, you know, you have to be disciplined, because it's very tempting to just stitch outside the area because it's there, it's the same color. You just go, well, I just move a few stitches over there. You have to resist doing that, because you want to kind of stick with the working area. It's just tidier that way. It is just so good. I can't believe it that I left it for so long. I probably left it a good, oh, I don't know, quite a few months. Occasionally I pick it up and put in a few stitches. But I think generally I was kind of just losing momentum with projects, sort of similar projects, 25 counts, 1/1. Even switching methods from time to time. You know, there are really so many different methods you can cycle through. And I think this app probably helped a lot, because up to having this tool, this way of stitching wasn't really possible, because, you know, you kind of have to take a guess on the number of stitches. It's very hard to do it accurately if you try to go from lower number of stitches and flow all the way up. Without having a tool to do the calculation for you. And I kind of mentioned it in the last session as well. There's a function here that I've got it turned on, which is when you finish one color, it automatically jumps to the next color. It highlights it for you, so you don't even have to go and look and navigate. So I've got 6 more stitches with this color. I need to find where they are. So I've got 1, 2, 3 over there, and a few loose stitches over there. That's fine. So 317, I need another strand. 317, let me see. And I remember when I was doing the cropped version, the sort of smaller version, when I came across this pattern initially, I was using CXC, because at that time I was a complete newbie when it comes to full coverage, and I wasn't even sure that I would like it. So I didn't want to invest so much to get DMC. DMC is pretty expensive in Europe and in the UK as well. I still consider UK as part of Europe, okay? Controversial, but yes, it's a European country. Let's not kid ourselves. But they're really expensive. So to get 260 colors in order to kit this design up was just too costly. So I went for CXC, and I'm really happy that I did, because it's a really lovely thread to stitch as well. I still use it for many other projects, and they cost a fraction of DMC. It's pretty scandalous if you think about how expensive DMC is, considering it's from France. It's French. It's basically neighbors, you know, just next door from us. But we're paying loads. We're paying loads for DMC. So if you're in America, how I envy you. So I might need to end this thread in order to move to the other side, because I've got, let me see, let me mark these ones. So I hope, oh, I forgot to lock the pattern. That's why it's moving. There you go. I'm supposed to lock the box here. Here we go. So I'm going to mark these stitches. So I know I've got 3 more stitches there. I have to find it. There's a function you can jump. It basically allow the app to do it for you, to jump. Okay, I've got 3 little loose stitches there. So I'm going to end this thread here. I don't want to carry my thread so far away. I have a heart attack. I like to keep the back as tidy as I can. I know it will still look messy, but at least everything is stitched down. Let me just see if I can push this down. Here we go. Just tuck the thread in. So even though there's a little bit more starting and stopping, I enjoy a lot more because I know the back will be a little bit tidier. That makes me feel better. So here we are. Over here, it's 1 stitch here. And sometimes it's amazing what a 1 stitch can do, because it kind of just seals the deal. Because when there's a little blank spot, you know there's a blank spot, even though just 1 single stitch. But when you complete the area, everything just looks seamless. And it's so nice. So this is a little bit unusual for some stitches. I know a lot of stitches can carry thread wherever they want and super fast, but I'm going to actually end this one as well, because the next one is on the left there and it's a little bit far away from me, and there's a large vast stitched area that I don't want to carry my thread over. So I rather end the thread, start again, no problem. I'm happier that way. I know. So you know, probably I can't remember the last time I actually flipped over and look at the, oh, it's tangled a little bit. Let me snip it off. It's not that I flip it over constantly to have a look at it, but I know what's happening at the back. I know. Oh dear, there's a little knot there. Let me see if, oh dear. There you go. That's okay. Let me start again. Just snapped. Push that thread down. So it's not like the I don't know why it snags. There's 1 ugly stitch I've done here, but you won't notice. You won't even know that it's not that pretty. There you go. I bet you can't tell that it wasn't a pretty stitch. Right, I've got 1 more. Let me find you at the bottom there. So the room is full of coffee aroma here. Freshly brewed black coffee, my favorite. Here we go. When you have one single stitch, or shall I say, when I come across one single stitch there, when I end thread, I basically just snip the thread off. I don't even bother to end it in any particular way because it would just stay put, won't go anywhere. So it makes stitching loose stitches a little bit easier. Right, next, so we've got this one done, and it was just jump to highlight the next one, which is really, really cool. I love it. So let me navigate over here. I can't remember what this number was. So let me zoom out a little bit. So 3860, 3860, yes, I've got one threaded. So I normally part my needles threaded on my needle parking board. So it's really quick. Oh, lovely coffee, so good. So it's really quick to find the next color, and occasionally I have to, you know, use the organizer. I love this piece. Have I mentioned it? I know every single piece. I just think it's my favorite at the moment. That's just the way I am. And every single method I'm stitching at that moment in time is the best method. So there you go. Let's have a look. Let me see. I think I probably let me undo this one. I think I might probably have crossed it over 2 stitches instead of 1. Zoom in a little bit more. And this piece is also Amy Stewart. So if you saw the last dream, the winter reading nook, which is such a beautiful piece as well, I mean, it's from the same artist. I mean, the lady is just genius. You know, she's creating dreams. Yeah, every single piece is just so whimsical. I think I've got another one. It's from her as well. It's called, what is it called? I can't remember. It's like little picnic spread. So I love to go back and work on that piece as well. It's got a nice cherry pie in that piece. So where do I take my thread? I can take it over here. Every piece is a dream, a weaving dream. And you probably notice the fabric is actually gridded. So when I started the full coverage in something like 25 counts, I literally could not see the stitches because my eyes just weren't used to it. And up to that point, I was stitching 14 counts mostly, maybe 16, with some cross stitching kits that I had, and that was pretty much my experience of cross stitching. So when I decided to try out 25, I literally jumped from 14 to 25, and I was going blind. So, and the mistake I made was I actually bought plain fabric, plain even weave, which I can stitch quite comfortably now. But so even though I try to grid it myself with a pen, I probably counted the stitches incorrectly, and maybe draw the lines in the wrong locations. It was all over the place. And at the same time, I had to get used to looking at tiny stitches. And I was just not having fun. I was very close to giving up. And so I left it for a few days. I was very disappointed. But I did some research and realized there are fabrics like this you can get, it's pre-gridded, and that made a lot of difference. So I slowly moved up the stitch count rather than just nose dive in from 14 to 25. And then also with the help of a fabric like this, it just made everything a lot easier. So even though later on I got quite a lot of plain even weave for other projects, I've got quite a lot of projects, still large projects like this with gridded fabric. And that would be my advice if you're starting, full coverage for the first time. Go for fabric like this. I think it's a little bit more expensive, maybe not even that much, but it just reassuring, because even if you make mistake with one block, the chances of you getting correctly for the next block is higher, because if you draw the blocks yourself, all you have to do is to miss one block. Let's say instead of 10 you counted 9, and then continue on with the gridding, manual gridding. It's all wrong. Everything's wrong down the line. So it can be a little bit tricky, I think. Let me see. Am I having this one over here? And one more there. These are quite boxed in. Let me see. These are done. I think the only drawback I would say with fabric, with gridded ones like this, is the gray area. You know, the gray borders here. Occasionally, depends on the areas I'm stitching. Sometimes I mistaken them as stitched because it's got colors. So if you stitching something that's quite pale in color in terms of the palette, you could mistaken these lines as stitches because the stitches are so small. At least for me anyway. So okay, so to here, I am going to move it over here. But the texture is a little bit stiffer with this type of fabric. Probably just there's a little bit more starch. Whereas if you get plain, I've got DMC even weave. It's very soft. So it's really the preference, really. There's no right or wrong, I don't think. And the fabric is a large part of the stitching experience. You know, you have to enjoy the way it's stitched. You see. These are done. I'm moving over to here. Okay, to row 1. Maybe stitch over that one, then the remaining. The thing is, when you're looking at stitches so close up, you don't even know what you're stitching, which is kind of fun because you focus on just where the stitches flow and what colors, and then lo and behold, you realize you're stitching I don't know, a cake or a flower or something. And that's kind of a surprise. Here we go. Very tempting to do a stitching, kind of a streak. See how long I can keep it going and streaming every day. I like challenges. just in case you haven't realized. Create challenges for myself. Let me see. I think these ones are done. Lovely. And there's one stitch here. Let me see. So I mark the location. Because I've got so many projects and I want to stitch them all, really. 3A60. 3A60. So maybe if I give myself a little bit leeway, on busy days, maybe half an hour counts. I don't know. You know, I want to make it challenging, but not impossible. Here we go. So we're moving down to somewhere here. There's one stitch here. And so I guess the reward of stitching Max color version is that you really get that subtlety of the color flow. I mean, majority of the regular Heaven and Earth pieces, they're beautiful as well. I've got a few pieces they're regular, and it's equally beautiful. But I think when you stitch Max colors, you really appreciate the detail and subtlety of it. I mean, yes, a lot of confetti, a lot of color changes, but that's part of the challenge, and depends on the stitching method. You know, you can actually become almost like a game. It's fun. Like this one, within the area, you start from single stitches to start with, and once you get that done, you know, you feel like you're progressing forward faster as you switch the color, because as you change your colors, the number of stitches also increases, so you don't need to change your colors as frequently, and you can stitch a little bit faster. So normally if I want to take my thread over to a slightly different area, I do a pin stitch in a unstitched area to carry forward. So I don't, again, you know, it's to that self-imposed rule of not carrying my thread over a stitch area as much as I can. Probably no more than 3 stitches. 3 stitches, I allow myself to do it. But beyond that, no. No one else cares but myself. Right, over here. And it's really fun doing it like this, because you have to move to different areas. You have to do pattern spotting. Ooh, this one is happening again. I don't know why I snack so much with threads today. Let me see if I can snip it off. That one. I don't know what's happening. Let me remove that. It's like like a game. You know, to spot the right location for the stitches, because some areas can look very similar. 1, 2, and this one over here. So let's see, 14 stitches left with this color. Where are you? At the bottom right there. So I'm going to end this thread over here. Just tuck it under. And my squirrel friends came to visit me today nice and early, because some days I don't see them and I get worried. So they'll come over and knock on my windows, and I give them some nuts. Their favorite is almonds. They love almonds and pecans as well. Oh dear, no, it's the wrong location. See, I'm already making a mistake there, but I'm going to just leave it and stitch over later on the correct color. It's actually down here. They was talking about, you know, pattern spotting, recognition, and instantly I made a mistake. So I'm pretty new with this way of stitching, you know, from the minimum number to maximum number of stitches, flow with the color count, sort of stitch counts. And the really fun part, as the number of stitches that grows. So currently I think each number's got at least 20 something stitches and keeps going up. And when you get to the final color, basically you know where to stitch, because the final color will get the maximum number of stitches involved. So, and also you pretty much don't need to refer to the chart, because you know all the unstitched area will be filled with that color. So it's there's a sense of freedom. You just, you know, you just focus on where you want to take your thread and just keep stitching. So I think that's why this way of stitching is kind of quite fast. It gets faster and faster as the oh dear, I stitched this. Put the needles, put a needle up in the wrong corner. Actually correct. It's a little bit tricky because it's packed with stitches in areas like this, and also the colors are very similar to each other. And sometimes you mistaken unstitched areas as stitched, or vice versa. Very easy mistakes. It's getting quite short, but see if I can get away with stitching these two. Let me move it up a little bit, falling off the edge there. Just tiny bit of thread left. Just about make it. Yay! So last stitch, because it's so snugly, I'm not going to end it. I'm going to just cut it off. It's not going anywhere. Oh, I think this is turning into something. I can see that. I think... Cool. I think I'm done with this color. Next. Three, 4, 0, 6. 3, 4, 0, 6. Is that correct? Oh no, I read it wrong. No, 3406 is the remaining number of stitches. I do that a lot. I just read the wrong bit. 169. It's 169. No wonder I couldn't find it. 169. Lovely. Right, so I'm going from the left here now. So one, 2, 3. Three here. Done. Move it over here. Filling in this area. So nice. Once you get it flowing. The first few stitches, maybe the first, I don't know, 20, 30 stitches. Or first 100, rather. Sometimes you just need to warm up. And then it starts to flow. Oops. I think I've got one side stuck. Never mind. Just whatever works. And those are pieces like this. Once you worked on it for a period of time, it's associated with a lot of memories, because quite a few of these pieces I started during lockdown. I think a lot of people gain new hobbies during those periods. And so each stitch is woven with sort of things that were happening at that time. Some memories associated with it. So each part of this piece, for instance, is linked to a certain memory. It's a bit like books. Physical books at least. Even the coffee stain, you kind of remember the circumstances when that happened. And I think pieces like this, it's a little bit like that. It reminds you of certain things that happened at that particular time. And the strange thing about lockdown is that, it was the first time in, I wouldn't say human history, but maybe the first time in that shape or form, where people, from being free to go anywhere, and for the first time we're told that we can't really do that freely. We have to restrict ourselves to only be out a certain number of times and a certain period of times. But the weird thing is, a lot of people actually look back on that period quite fondly. And it's kind of a strange, interesting psychological phenomena, I think. I think because of the restriction, people had to make very different choices on what they do with their lives at that time. And as the result, maybe some people made some choices that actually guide them to do things that they probably wouldn't have done otherwise. I remember it was probably only 6 months into the first lockdown for us in the UK anyway. Let me just make sure I'm in the right place. not stitching in the weird places. Um, so there was a studio, yoga studio that I went a lot as a practitioner. I wasn't teaching there, but I went there to classes and stuff. And I remember the owner used to look really stressed all the time, considering it's a it's a yoga studio. People go there to find release, and to find peace. The owner always looked really, really stressed. I suppose running a business is nothing to do with yoga itself. It's stressful. Doesn't matter what you do. And then 6 months into the lockdown, I bumped into her on the street. And at that time, I don't know whether you remember, I bet you do. It was social distancing, right? You have to kind of stay quite far away from each other, even if you bump into each other outdoor. And I remember bumping into her, and I thought, well, yeah, I recognize her, but there's something very different about her. And then I realized she looked happy. She looked relaxed. And it was so interesting. So I called her name, and we stopped and had a chat slightly away from each other. And I just say, hey, you look great. Not that she didn't look great before, but she just always looked worried. It was a very small yoga studio. I think is kind of, getting members in is always a challenge comparing to big gym chain and stuff like that. I totally get it. But she just looked so relaxed. And so I had a brief chat to her. It turned out, of course, everything shut down then. So the studio had to be closed down. And she was telling me that, depends on how long the lockdown will go on, she might have to let the studio go. But the weird thing was, she looked so happy. And I think even she knew the difference, because she kind of said that, yes, things are, all these things are unexpected. And it's a shame if I have to let the studio go. But, I just felt so much happier because I don't have to worry about the number of members you gain or lose every month. And it was really, it was really, really stressful for her. And finally, she's kind of being forced to not worry anymore, because there's no point worrying, because there's nothing you could do. Everything was closed other than supermarket. Let me just get to my thread 169. Here. And depends on where you are at that time. UK had a pretty harsh waves of lockdown. We locked down, I don't know, 3-4 times and few months at a time. So we lost, majority of people spent their lives in lockdown situation, probably close to 2.5 years, depends on the industry you work in and stuff like that. And so people have to people are forced to make different choices with their lives. And some turn out to be better, perhaps. You know, life is a strange thing. Let me see if I could find that one. I think I stitched that one on top already. And this one. And even after lockdown, when people kind of go back to quote unquote normal routines, a lot of people, look back on that period with a lot of fondness, because you're kind of forced not to engage or worry about certain things because there's not much you could do anyway. It's a strange episode of human history for sure. And I think next time, when we have kind of similar situation as in viruses and stuff, I think, I don't know for sure, but perhaps we're going to deal with it in a very different way. I'm not sure if lockdown would be the choice. Let me see, where am I? Yes. Oh, hi, Jane. Creations Zero says, "Hi, what kind of fabric do you have? I love this pattern. It's beautiful." Yes, Jane. This is 25 counts. So this is from DMC Even Weave. So 25 counts, and this piece is called same as the video title. Well, the live stream title is called The Little Cake Shop. It's whimsical. It's absolutely adorable. I totally agree with you. So it's from Heaven and Earth Design, and this one is Max Colors. They've got regular, and I don't know. They've got a cropped version as well. The one that's it's kind of the center part of this design. Yeah, highly recommend it. So let me just see where I am. So I am going to just pull this out so I can take the thread to a different location here. So I'm going to stitch this one as well. I think I'm not even sure that one is correct color. I don't think that's correct. It's too light. I'm going to just stitch over it. You're welcome, Jane. I think this pattern's been around for a while because I've seen quite a few floss tubers. They're stitching this one. I've seen this piece being done in half stitches, 25 counts. I've also seen this piece done in larger count, so lower counts rather, larger stitches. They're equally beautiful. I mean, this is a kind of shop front that, as a child, is my ultimate dream to have a shop like this. You know, when I was a kid, I remember daydreaming about sweet shops. It's full of colorful lollipops and stuff like that. But my parents, they're pretty strict about sugar intake. Not a lot of sweets in my childhood. So maybe that's why I was fantasizing about it. But it's not so much the taste. I don't care that much about sweets as in taste, but it's the wrappers, the packaging, you know, just like chocolates. It's all about packaging. The lovely tin foil, the wrapped, the chocolate. When you unwrap it, the sound it makes. Here we go. So that's the entire area here. The same color. It's very easy to stitch. And this row's done. So with the cropped version that I started off with this design, I used DMC 1/1. The thing with the, not DMC, the CXC floss. The thing with CXC is, if you just look at the floss itself, the texture, it looks very airy. DMC feels quite full body. You know, if you look at the thread, it feels solid, and it's kind of spun together very tightly. So it feels very, very robust. But the thing with CXC is slightly deceiving, because even though it looks kind of quite fluffy and airy, once it's stitched, it's actually very full. I don't know how it works, but even 1/1, it feels very, very, quite well covered, which is quite nice. Let me just do this one down here. and the tone of the colors tend to be more earthy. So the same piece here, it comes out quite vibrant, which is nice. So I think this piece is perfect for DMC. But if you have design that's that requires more earth tone, CXC is actually a pretty good choice. Or if you if you need to have fuller coverage for whatever reason. I've heard people complaining about the coverage of DMC. Not that you can really see the difference if you zoom out, but if you look closely, maybe if you work on design that's a lot of sort of darker palette against white fabric, then perhaps you can see a little bit more. Not with this piece. I think everything kind of blends in. And also the way you stitch as well. If you have a habit of pulling the stitches quite tight, perhaps you tend to create a little bit more opportunities for the fabric to kind of peek through. I don't generally find that issue with DMC. And one more down here. Let me see. I want to know if there are any other loose stitches somewhere else in the area. Beautiful. Look at this. Let's have a look. 15. Do we have any more? This might be it. 15. Just want to make sure that I haven't missed any. Oh, there's one more here. I see. Let me just mark these ones. This is the thing with Max Colors. There are loose stitches everywhere. Fine. Let me end this here. Tuck it in here. And just one stitch at the bottom here. Right. That's it. Perfect. And now I'm going to commit this color. Move on to the next one. See how amazing that is. It just jumps to the next color without me having to do anything. So the next color's got 70 stitches just for this area. And this is why it gets faster and faster, because you just end up you're able to stitch quite a lot of stitches with the same color. Oh, lovely coffee. Here we go. Next one's a lovely beige color. 758. 758. Yes, I've got one threaded. Not that much left. See how far we can go. Let's see. It's over here. Over. Make it a little bit bigger here. It's such an interesting way of stitching, because when with these pieces, in the very beginning, I was doing a lot of parking, maybe one block at a time. So I do a kind of color completion within a block, 10 by 10, and I'll park to the next block. And it was quite fun to do as well. But because you're kind of restricted, not restricted, it's kind of self-imposed 10 by 10 block. It's a little bit restricted. Whereas this way of stitching, you can define any size area you like. So I think the stitching experience is very different if you stitch 10 by 10 or let me just make sure I haven't gone over and do something weird. Okay. It's a very different experience whether you're stitching one block at a time versus 2 blocks. Funny enough. Because you know, it's slightly different strategy when you're stitching larger area. Or if you stitch one page at a time, for instance. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay. Because this app is allowing you to define any size area of your choice and whatever shape, you essentially get to experience very different kind of stitching experience. And it's kind of exciting because for me, it's all about kind of not to get fatigue with a certain way of stitching. I'm just one of those people that one of those stitches I have to change my way of stitching all the time. Frequent enough, not all the time. There's certain ways that just flow with me, so I tend to stick with it. But I need that stimulation of changes. It's just the way it is. So I can sense the difference between the previous few attempts trying to stitch like this within an area. So this area involves 1, 2, 3, top down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horizontal. So 15 blocks, which is pretty large area to stitch in one time. I know some people do one page at a time, but things get a little bit harder to manage when you stitch in a large area, more likely to make mistakes. I can definitely feel the difference stitching 15 blocks at a time versus one, you know, it just is. I wonder what it is I'm stitching. It's a mystery. I'm looking forward to the surprise. So even though I've got the marker up there, if I'm not streaming, I tend not to refer to the pattern at all because it's I like the surprise of not knowing what I'm stitching exactly. I mean, you know, I've got a general idea of the theme, but there's so much detail with pieces like this. So here we are. Need another strand. 758. 758. 758. Here we go. Oh, we only got a little bit left on the organizer. I need to top it up. 758. So 1, 2. Okay. done. And I'm stitching. It feels like all is well. So peaceful. I had a little look of Heaven and Earth, the website. I think just maybe yesterday. They do sort of random sales a lot. So I always try to pop in and have a look. Not that I need more projects, but at the same time, I'm really scared. I'm always feeling really relieved walking away from the website, not seeing patterns I want, like new ones. I always dive straight to the new releases. And if I don't find anything I like, it's actually good news, because if I fall in love with another piece, I just know, I wouldn't be able to resist it. I just end up having one more project. And there's another piece I'd like to go back to, which is a pattern from Gecko Rouge, which is a company that's known for made-to-order cross-stitching kit. So they have their own patterns. So they create charts, and so it's slightly different from those pre-made kits, like Dimension, for instance. That's more sort of aiming for more consumer facing, whereas Gecko Rouge, it's kind of you can specify what count you would like the kit to be, fabric count, and what else? Paper chart, digital charts. They do both. They don't sell patterns alone, so they kind of pride themselves for the whole experience. So I've got a kit from them. It's absolutely massive. I don't think it's the biggest they've got, but one of the biggest. And so I think it was 2003, something like that, December, something like that, when I started working on it. And I've been tracking it with Pattern Keeper. And now I would love to be able to import, transfer it over to Cross Stitching Saga, the app I'm using right now, and so I can work this way, in the order of colors and stitch counts. But I'm having a terrible time doing it because Gecko Rouge, even though the colors are DMC compatible, they use DMC threads. I think that's what they say, but the texture feels a little bit different, at least for me. Excuse me, let me just oh, sorry about that, I had a cough. Hopefully that was muted. I'm not too sure. But so I was having I managed to import the chart over, and it's okay, but the colors are all messed up because Gecko Rouge, even though they use DMC compatible colors, they number them differently. So the piece I've got, it's got, I can show you actually. It looks quite, oh no, it's not actually not here. Not on my iPad, it's on my Amazon. Let me show you the mess that I'm in right now. Excuse me. Let me just bring up my right. So this is the app that I needed to, oh, my throat. Let me see. I'm not that familiar with this app. So this, let me just come to this view. I want to show it to you. So you can share my pain. Maybe I'll feel a little bit better. So this is what I'm up against. So let me show you what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed on Pattern Keeper. So this is on Pattern Keeper. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is the pattern. Absolutely massive. It's full of stuff. I love it. And I'm trying to convert it so I can import it to my iPad, to the app I'm using right now. But what I got was this. So this is the conversion app. It's called Paradise. It's not a conversion app. It's actually a markup app by itself, but it's I can't make it work. I'm not that familiar with this. I just use it for conversion, but the colors all messed up. And what am I looking at? Never mind. But the colors are messed up. So because the system doesn't recognize the numbering that Gecko Rouge put on their thread card. So for Gecko Rouge, the pattern I've got, the one I just showed you, it's got 120 colors maybe. But it's numbered from 1 to 125. Whereas DMC is based on the color. So the system does not know which color the chart is specifying. So in order to make it work, I'll have to go through each color and try to find similar colors and also rename all the colors as well. So it's an absolute epic task. And So until I can get it done, I can't really import it over. So this bit is done, I think. Have I got any more stitches left? So these are completed. So I want you to share my pain. I want to share my pain with you, rather. But I'm really looking forward to work on that project again as well. So this is, that one's done. Next here. These are very pale colors, so sometimes a little bit tricky. I think it's over here. Because that piece, I kind of parked it for quite a while as well, maybe more than 6 months. I haven't really gone back and worked on it for similar reasons. I kind of just got a little bit fatigued with 25 count. So I needed a break. But now I'm really looking forward to going back. That piece is so much fun. I was so obsessed with it. When I first got it, I was working on it day and night. Whenever I had a moment, I just try to pick it up and put it in a few stitches. Let me take a sip of my coffee. I probably swallow a frog or something. Even though I'm vegan, I wouldn't want to swallow anything that's it's got legs. Oh dear, there's a hair. Probably my cat's. I'm surprised my cat Dolly hasn't come over. Try to get attention. Because every time I sit down and start stitching, she will come over. And whenever I need attention from her, she'll be sleeping, she will go out, you know. Whenever I'm trying to concentrate on doing something, when I'm busy, there she is. She will suddenly appear and demand my attention. Typical. Let's have a look. So, last one over here. Scroll. Marking so easy though. You don't have to switch to a different mode. You just mark it. Let me have a look. Huh, okay. I think I might have stitched in the wrong spot. It's okay, I'll just come back and stitch over it as usual. One more here. It's getting very short. I'm going to end the thread. So pretty. So these ones are done. Let's move over here. There's 16 stitches to go. I think there's some more. Okay, there's some more on the right there. 758. 758. I'm gonna have to top this up. So with Max Colors, a lot of times that's all the amount you need for an entire piece. That happens a lot. I think that's why I put so few strands over here. Even though oops, sorry, got a bit blurry there. That's what happens when you stitch Max Colors. It's just tiny bit of the thread for each color a lot of times. Right, where am I? It's over there. Here we go. So with the gridded fabric, I think it's important to define the starting point of a block, because you can either make it the start of the block, which is what I do normally with, where the gray row of stitch is, but you can also make it a last stitch. So as long as you're consistent, but sometimes I do get it mixed up sometimes. So you could be one stitch off. There's something to be mindful about. One, two, three. We've got these ones. And move down. And probably take the thread over. It's just about 3 stitches, so I can just about kind of okay with it. Let me see. I can't think it come out. It's really tricky because the colors are so similar. Oh, here we go. Mm. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to take it over here, which is not too far away, and deal with that. Excuse me. Three stitches here. Right, so I may need to end thread here. Let me see, let me just mark these ones. I've got 3 more over there. But it's, yeah, it's too far away for me to move over, I think. That's nearly 10 stitches. So I'm going to actually end my thread here. It'll make me feel a little bit better. And then there's 3 more on the side there. Last one of this color. I'm getting more and more daring because when I first started this method, I started with 1 block, 10 by 10. Now I'm stitching in the 15 block area, or 12 rather. I can't count. Right, so I'm going to, so I just want to show you this. Let me switch to the full view there. So see, I've got 3 stitches there, they're unmarked. But instead of marking it individually, I'm going to do a sort of general commitment of these stitches, like a mass marking of the same color that's been highlighted in the red borders there. So what I'm going to do is to tap on the paint bucket on the left here. There's a toolbar on the left. I'm going to just tap the paint bucket and see what happened was they marked all the stitches there of the last color and switch to the next one. I love this feature. So this stitch, this color, I've got 74 stitches. So 3042, 3042. Zoom out a little bit there, so that you know what areas I'm working on that. 3042. This one I forgot to put it back. Let me have a look. So 758. It's got a very good undo and redo function as well, so you can always wind back if you made a mistake like I just did. 3042. Beautiful lilac purpley color. And so this will mostly go around the upper right side of the pattern of this block. It should be fairly orderly. Okay. Next one. Huh, hang on. Why does it look different? Over here, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I must have. It's different. Yeah, that's correct. I may have. A stitch. Oh, I see. Okay. I know what's going on now. 1, 2, 3. Got it. It's here actually. 1, 2, 3. I think there's one feature that's quite nice with Pattern Keeper is that you select the stitches you're about to stitch before you commit, because even though all the stitches of the same colors are being highlighted, because there's so many involved, it's very easy to get lost. So it kind of helps if you're able to highlight the ones you're about to stitch. So that's one thing I kind of miss. Pattern Keeper. So I think I know what's going on here. I've got one stitch off here. So yeah, I just need to stitch one. Oh, hang on. No, I want to undo this one. Because you use other stitches to reference your location. If you just have one stitch off, sometimes it throws you off. It's this one actually. It's better. That's why I can't do massive long distance cross country. My pattern will end up looking very different from how it's intended. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go this way. So with this app, I felt that it's actually designed to it's the whole functionality is there to support this type of stitching, meaning that it's kind of color complete. You roll from one color to the other. As far as I can see, I could be wrong because I'm quite new for this app. It's not really designed for stitching methods that involves a lot of parking and color switches constantly. So for instance, if you stitch row by row for whatever reason, it means you're switching colors all the time and park and switch and park. I don't think this app is really designed for that. So even though it's very powerful, it's not really catered for that kind of stitching method. Pattern Keeper would be the best for that. But then Pattern Keeper, you can't really sort your colors or stitch counts based on anything other than the entire project. So you can't do this kind of method with the Pattern Keeper. So it really depends on how you like to stitch. I mean, for me, I try everything. I'm happy to try everything. And I'll use all of them basically for different purposes. But it would be nice to have an app that can do everything. Wouldn't that be a dream? So if there's any developers out there want to tap into this massive market, you know, there's still a gap there you can fill. So every app has got its strengths and weaknesses. Okay, 3 here. Another one. One more. Beautiful. I'm going to take it. Let me see. I'll probably take it down. I haven't got that much thread left. Just take it down here and take it to the left. And 2 here. Take my shape. Oh dear. The last one over here. I'm gonna get my thread here. It's getting very short. So there's 3 more on this side. I'll get back over there. 3042. So just make sure I find a starting point. It's so easy to get lost. Because some parts look very similar. I've got it here. Getting dark outside now. So let me see. Got these 2. Three. I'm going to take it down. A pretty color though. loose stitch bottom there. Right. It's weird because normally if I stitch so many stitches or this number of stitches the same color, I get bored. But because I have to really look where I'm going and spot the patterns, it's actually really good fun. Basically, I don't like my life easy. That's it. That stitch wasn't pretty, the one I just did. Let's have a look. These ones are done. Sip on my coffee. It's 9:21 p.m. in London. I think coffee is not too bad for me in terms of, keeping me awake if I drink it too late. But for some reason, I'm probably more sensitive to green tea, even though both are caffeine. I don't know, maybe there's something else that's going on with green tea. It's very energizing. So perhaps not the best drink after dark, even though sometimes I do have a cup of green tea in the evening. Okay, so it's here. So for 25 counts, when you have sort of spaces kind of quite tight here, you know, between stitches, it's not too bad. You can still put your needle through. I just jinxed it. You can still do it and still have a sort of quite nice stitching experience. But sometimes with larger stitches, like maybe 20 counts downwards, I'll probably try to avoid boxed in stitches as much as I can. Because sometimes it's no fun when you try to put your needle through, but it just wouldn't go through. I don't enjoy that much. The single strand is really quite flexible, so I can be more free with the stitching methods. Good. Let me see, I've got these ones here. Maybe one more. Have I gone over? I probably have gone over. Okay. And then one more down here. So I've got 5 more to go. 5 more stitches for this color, but I'm running low. I'm gonna end this one. Right. I've got 3 more. 4 to the left there. Three, 0, 4, 2. Let me see. I suspect I've only got, okay, so I've got, oops, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors to go, but you can see the number is increasing. The last number will be 142. That's pretty ambitious. 3042. Let's have a look. 3042. Maybe I'll do one more color after this, see how it goes. So this area doesn't look large, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 15 blocks. I was right. For a moment I thought I got the math wrong. It's not my forte, as you can see, counting the math. And we've got 4 more stitches for this color. So I've got it over here. And 2 more down here. Let's see. I think 2 sessions ago I did a stream that was close to 5 hours. And I couldn't believe it because it really felt like a couple of hours, maybe. It's crazy. Sometimes when you focus on stitching, time just disappears. So I've just finished that, ended that thread because I'm going to take it over for the last loose stitch on the left there. And it's too far for me to carry over. I technically could, but I don't want to. So it's, let me just double check. I have a feeling it's over here. Oops. Let's come off. Technically, you could do, oh, it's a little, hang on, let me get the hair off. Technically, you could do a single kind of loop stitch with a single thread, but I find it's not really necessary because it doesn't really need to, you don't need to do that to secure a thread when it comes to 25 count, because it's so snuggly. The stitches kind of just cling to each other. So right, last stitch for this color 3042. 3042. Let me pop it back. Oh, I do have one over there. Curious. 4 3042. Let me just put this right back. Right. DMC snacks a lot today. I don't know why. I don't get that with CXC, funny enough. Right. Next color will be 452. 452. 88 stitches. Wow. 452. Let's see how far we can go with this one. 452. Right. Let's move it over here. Where should I start? Let me start here. And then circle to the left. I think that would be my strategy. Let me just make sure I'm in the right spot. I think that stitch is done actually, but it's not marked. That's why I'm confused. Okay, let me move it down here. So that one's done. I'm gonna just take it down to the left here. So you need to have a plan because the stitches are flowing into different directions. Over here. And trying to think. Thinking whether I should do row by row or I'm going to do row by row. It's tidier. I'm looking forward to looking at. Oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, I was about to say I'm looking forward to checking the final stitch count today, but I just realized I actually stitched a little bit earlier today, so the counts might not be based on this session, because the app does have a function that you could kind of set up a almost like a timer within a certain period, but I forgot to start a new session, so never mind. But I think today is pretty productive, and it's, you know, it's not really me to stitch to stitch fast at all. But I think this method, for some reason, is just a bit faster. Actually, quite a lot faster comparing to other methods. It's a mystery. Let me see. That one is done. I'm going to mark as I go here. Where am I? Oh yes, okay. It's a bit shocking when there's so many stitches of the same color. You can just not used to it, because by default is confetti. That's the general stitching experience here. So those ones. Think just let me see, 67, that's a bit ambitious. I'd like to be able to finish this color before I wrap up today. But 67, oh, that's not too bad. 67 is like half a block, isn't it? Because one block is 100. So it might not be so ambitious. It might be okay. And the weird thing is, I'm getting hungry. Because I had a light meal before I started, and I thought I was sorted. I think stitching makes you hungry. It requires so much concentration and brain power, all that pattern spotting. I bet it burns calories. It's a great exercise, actually. Because sometimes I can do yoga for like hours. Sometimes I teach 2, 3 classes at the same time, back to back. And I never feel hungry or tired. But I think I probably burn more calories just stitching. Maybe I can do some kind of experiment, some sort of device that I can monitor my calorie consumption. And there are quite a lot of students, they wear Apple Watches when they come to my classes. And the weird thing is, a lot of them come to me and go, oh, geez, I burn about 200, 300 calories. Whereas if they go to classes like HIIT or Zumba or whatever, they don't really burn that many. Sometimes under 200. So it's a myth that people think that you come to yoga, you kind of just breathe and do a bit of stretches. It's hard. At least my classes are hard. And a lot of people don't know that yoga actually involves a lot of cardio. Get your heart pumping really fast. And also there's a lot of balancing you have to do as well. And it's no joke. It's no joke. It's not just breathing and stretching, even though that's, of course, you do. 452, I need another thread, another strand. 452. And yoga, for some reason, you get more women. I think, well, maybe classes generally, they attract more women than men. 452. Let me see. 52. Right here. And I think some people think it's like yoga is like ladies exercise, and just wait till they come to a class. Because I have I do classes at gyms as well. Gym classes are interesting because a lot of people who never done yoga can just walk into a class and without any kind of prior knowledge or experience there. So it's quite rewarding to teach because a lot of people experience your classes as their first time in yoga. So, and I remember there was this general manager of this branch, really, really nice guy. And he's a fitness trainer as well, so he's quite fit, right? You would have thought. He was quite fit. And so normally he teaches he's kind of a personal trainer. He teaches classes like, I don't know, body pump or something with weights and stuff like that. And then one day he decided to come to my class. Let's say it took him a while before he came back again. I think they tend to underestimate the kind of strength and fitness you need. I mean, the the practice itself, you can adjust it. That's the beauty of it. It's not just brute force. You just jump and hop and roll and whatever. No, you can adjust it. I mean, at least good teachers, I like to think, they give you options, so you make it work for your body. So there's a lot of judgment calls you have to make as a practitioner to decide how far you want to take it. And if you push too high, you'll know about it and you learn from that. So it's about knowing when to challenge yourself and when not to, when to rein back. And it's a life lesson as well, isn't it? Sometimes we charge forward thinking that more is better, but it's not. More is not always better. So this guy, yeah, I think it was pretty sore, probably for the following few days, but I think he enjoyed it. He just didn't expect it to be so hard. I think if you're used to maybe HIIT type of classes, it's a lot of conditionings and strengths, that kind of, it's a great exercise. I go from time to time, but yoga is a different thing because there's a battle. I wouldn't say battle, but there's you're essentially get to face yourself. It's a dialogue with yourself, and you need to have that dialogue going in order to know how far you want to take it. And it's not a familiar thing for most people to do. With most fitness exercise we do, we go to a class, we just copy what teachers want us to do. Instructors, they go 3 push-ups or ganos, jumping jack, or whatever it is, or lift this weight, move your arms this way. So we're used to think about physical exercise as a form that you get your body to do. We're thinking about external form. Your arms are here, legs are over there, and you do how many reps. So it's great. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But if you're used to that kind of outward projection with your body, eventually you might injure yourself, because while you're trying to make your body to look like someone else's in terms of movement, because you're copying the movement rather than thinking about what's happening to your body, then you're trying to get your body to conform to some sort of external shape, and that may or may not work for your body. So a lot of yoga practicing, the practice itself is actually embracing where you are right now, rather than focusing on where you want to be. And that's the toughest lesson, because You know, if we go to a exercise class, doesn't matter, it's yoga or whatever it is, well, by default we want to get stronger. That's kind of the goal. We want to be able to do more. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the value of yoga practice is it's kind of surrendering to where you are right now. Be okay with it. Be okay with it. And then you can move forward. Because once you're okay with where you are right now, then, you know, you have more space to move forward rather than engage in a lot of criticism or judgments. We're pretty harsh on ourselves. And the worst thing that we could do, well, we experience very often is not what other people say about us, is what we say to ourselves. I think the inner dialogue, can be so harsh. So a lot of practice it's being able to kind of notice that's what we're doing and turn that off, or at least lower the volume and learn to interpret it, in terms of things we say to ourselves, and knowing that most of it is probably not true. It's about questioning the kind of automatic reactionary response that we have sometimes we inflict on ourselves. And when your mind is freed of that kind of, almost pathological process, then, you're more free, more space, literally capacity to do something else, to use your mind for things that are more productive and things that make you happier. And I had to learn it in a very, very hard way. So I'm definitely in no position to judge anyone. But you learn eventually. Okay, this bit is done. It's not bad at all. I might be able to complete this color. Let me just end this thread here. It's getting a bit short. Another strand. New cupcake there. 452. 452. Oh, hello, Dolly. Finally. My cat, Dolly, has come here to say hello at last. Normally she would pop up as soon as I start streaming. She knows. So I'm gonna start from here. I remember when I first started teaching, oh my, I beat myself up every day. Just thinking I could have done better, or I could have said this, or not say that, or maybe the students hate me, you know, or they didn't look like they enjoyed themselves. A lot of self-inflicted pain. And maybe, you know, it doesn't mean that it was totally untrue. Maybe, you know, I'm pretty sure there were a lot of things that I did maybe could be improved. Absolutely. But it's about learning that when you teach, it's not about you. Sometimes, you know, with new teachers, they look for advice. I tend to remind them that it's not about you. And perhaps we put too much focus on ourselves when the students really just come to the space and they do, you know, they want to practice yoga or for whatever reason, fitness or whatever for their mind. They're not thinking about you. You're just a voice. You're just there to help them. You're a guide, you know. It's like if you go traveling somewhere and you have a travel guide, it's not about the tour guide. Your focus is on your journey, on your traveling. It's a bit like that. You're just taking them through. And of course, there, you know, it's a good thing that if you try to improve and do better, but you shouldn't take things too personally because, again, it's not about you. And once you accept that and regain that perspective, it's a lot easier to figure out how you can do better and not focus on beating yourself up. I think, for instance, you know, particularly with newer teachers, one of the things they go, well, I run out of things to say. I don't know what to say. And I end up with this awkward silence. So I think a lot of times it makes things so much worse because the more you notice that there is silence you have to desperately fill, the more you struggle to come up with anything meaningful to say. And I've been through that as well, for sure. You feel like you have to say meaningful things all the time in order to come across as a competent teacher. The more you think like that, the more struggle you get yourself into. And even if you come up with something to say, it's going to probably come out uh, I don't know, it probably come out a little bit forced or superficial because you were saying things just to fill a space, if that makes sense. And I think people listening can feel the difference, whether it's heartfelt or you are just trying to fill a space so you don't have that awkward silence. I think. I'm gonna end this bit and take it over to the other side. Hello, Dolly. What can I do for you? Do you want supper? So I've got a few more stitches there. I've got 15 to go, so not too bad. I might be able to, not might, I will finish the 15 stitches if I can figure out where I put my needle next. So here's one stitch here, two. Let me have a look. Hey, sweetie. Hello, Dolly. Oh, babe. Hang on. It's here. I think it might be a little bit off. These ones. Right. So let me reorient myself. These ones are done. Got it. Now, Dolly's now playing with my toes. Babe. I got 3 here. So I think the thing to remind myself, and also if I get to speak to other teachers as well, if they feel like there's a void they need to fill, or feel like they have to say something profound all the time, is to remind myself and also other teachers that I'm not responsible for anyone's spirituality. That's not my role. We're not here to heal anybody or to enlighten anybody. Sometimes the yoga teachers mistaken that's their role to be. That's not my role. That's not our role. If any kind of enlightenment or healing that happens, that's coming from the person practicing yoga. You cannot get somebody to do that. No, that's not. We don't have that power. That's not our responsibility. We're just a voice. Just a voice. And that's it. So once you realize, you let go of that kind of sense of responsibility, and and things become a lot easier. So whatever you say is actually authentic and heartfelt. You're not saying it to sound like somebody or to be something. And you'll be all right. I've got 8 to go. Hey, not bad. It sounded like such a great numbers. I think it was 60 something for this color. But not bad at all. Two over here. And 3. And I still have no idea what I'm stitching in this particular area. I love it, because I'll find out once the area is completed. And each defined area is a kind of a mini milestone, which is very encouraging, because some people stitch page by page, but actually even just single page takes a long time to do, and sometimes you just need that encouragement. Oh, hang on, I think I never mind. These 4 stitches should be 1 row down. Never mind, I'll just stitch over later on. So I'm going to actually stitch these ones. No one will notice. No one will notice. Okay. Move it slightly up here. And one more. Why does it not have? So there's 1 purple stitch missing as well. Never mind. And sometimes when you make mistakes, even if you don't go back and fix it or stitch over it, in a way you're making your marks, because this piece will be uniquely you. No one else will have the same piece with this, identical stitches. So mistakes are a beautiful thing. And stitch here. Oh, good morning from Japan. Is it Vega? Hello. Greetings to Japan. Amazing. What time is it over there? It's like quite a few hours differences. It's probably still quite early over there, or maybe it's quite late. I don't know which way it's supposed to go. Welcome. And last stitch. How beautiful is that? This one down here. I got so excited I actually carry it over maybe more than 3 stitches, but never mind. I'm going to just snip it off. It's beautiful. Yay. I can't wait to find out how many stitches I've done. Look, so this is what I've done today. Let me just unlock this. Why don't I switch to the full view so we can appreciate my handiwork today? So this is where I was. So with this piece, I started from top left, like normal person. Some pieces I start from the center. And then I'm working on this boxed in area. And it doesn't look like that much, but there are quite a few blocks involved. So I've done well. Let me just unlock that. And there's still a little bit to go, but I think, oh, let me just highlight that. Let me see this, look at the stat to see how many more to go. So I've got about 371 stitches to go. But today, so look, over 1,000. So this is a little bit deceiving. If you look at the upper right corner, it says 1,236. Okay, I have to take credit for some of them, but not all of them. I have not stitched this number. So it's a combination of, because I literally imported this pattern over just yesterday. You can see the date there. So I imported the pattern over here, but I had to fix some of the allocation of stitches, so it added quite a few there. But I suspect I probably managed probably about 300 to 400. Next time I'll remember to time it. So look at the total completion here, upper left, 12.47%, which is not bad at all, not bad at all. I'm happy with that. It seems quite a big chunk, but it's only 12% because the whole piece is this big. So very happy about my progress today. So let me just switch back to my piece here. It's so lovely, so cute. It's like stitching dreams, and you can see it's starting to form something, and I will not refer to the pattern to find out what it is. I want to find out as I stitch. So there you go. This today's session, I think I probably stitched for over 3 hours. It really flew by. It doesn't feel like this. It's very, very scary. So I want to thank you for joining me today. If you're watching live, you're special. And if you're watching the playback, I hope you enjoy stitching with me. And I hope to catch you for the next session. So, greeting and love from London. And I'll see you for the next session. Have a lovely evening. Nighty night. Bye.